Good evening, everyone, and welcome. My name is Val Lazo, and I'm so excited to host you for our Cruise Information Night. Thank you for taking the time to join us tonight. Sail Away Cruises is proud to be the sister brand of Down Under Travel, established to focus entirely on the cruise travel needs of our clients. So whether you dream of sailing across oceans, exploring iconic rivers, or embarking on expeditions to some of the most remote corners of the globe, we work closely with our trusted cruise partners to make those dreams a reality. I am joined tonight by Jason Webb, the owner and director of both Down Under Travel and Sail Away Cruises. Jason brings a wealth of industry expertise and a genuine passion for helping travelers create unforgettable journeys. And speaking of unforgettable journeys, tonight, we are thrilled to feature one of the most extraordinary names in expedition travel, Quark Expeditions. Quark is a world leader in polar adventure travel, offering immersive voyages to the Arctic and Antarctic aboard state-of-the-art expedition ships. Before we begin, just a quick note, the Q&A feature is active throughout the presentation, so you can send your questions at any time, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can. Now, we have Jake Rogers, who is the Area Sales Director for Quark Expeditions in North America. A longtime advocate for sustainable adventure travel, Jake partners with agencies to grow the expedition category and inspire travelers to explore the polar regions. He's been to Antarctica 5 times, so you can learn a lot from him. Please help me welcome Jake Rogers.
Thanks, Val. How are you, mate? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you, man.
So let's dive into it. I'm going to talk all about Quark and where we go, what we do, and how you can see the polar regions with us. All right, guys. So as Val said, my name is Jake. I've been with Quark Expeditions for a little while now. Always been in the expedition industry and adventure travel. And as you may be able to tell, my accent is Australian, though this year I did actually become Canadian, which is pretty awesome. But I'm sure you're used to the Australian accent, as Down Under Travel is obviously the main entity. And now we're looking at the new entity, which is now selling cruises, which is Val. So I'll dive straight in. But one of the things we do talk about before we jump in is we'd like to share in the expedition industry some stories, but we also like to share one of our favorite expedition memories. Matter of fact, I actually got a video of mine, and hopefully this comes across so you can see it. This was last March in Antarctica. My favorite animal in the entire world, a big leopard seal, about 1,000 pounds, a big female. She came up out of the ocean and gave the boat a bit of a bite. Said hello, just a love tap, nothing outrageous, but just to give you a bit of an understanding of this isn't your typical cruise that I'm going to be talking about today. But why travel with Quark Expeditions? There's a lot of noise in the expedition industry. There's a lot of companies out there doing it. I'm a very strong believer that there is something for everyone. We might not be for you. We might not be for the type of expedition product you're looking for, but there is definitely something out there for everyone in the expeditions. And today, obviously, I'm going to be talking about Quark. The whole idea with Quark is to step foot where few ever go. We are one of those true expedition companies that will go where no one else has even thought about venturing into. And we do the ends of the earth, quite literally, polar bears and penguins. Our area of operations you can see in these little circles here. So Antarctica and the Arctic. That is all we do, and that is all we have been doing for almost 35 years now. We are polar obsessed since 1991, hence the tagline. Now, funny enough, with the webinar that we're doing today, it does coincide with our brand new launch of Antarctic and Arctic 27-28 itineraries. And there's a few things that are new. If you are familiar with Quark, you will notice there's a couple of changes. But if you're not, well, then it doesn't really matter. But we have a whole bunch of new trips coming out. We have a very cool trip that I'm going to be talking about today, which is a 20-day voyage focusing on just South Georgia and the Falklands. We also have a new voyage in the Weddell Sea, which I'll explain more about the Weddell Sea and where it is later on. We also expansion of our Tundra to Table to Iceland, which is a really cool experience. Again, I'll talk about in a little while, as well as science and discovery and what that means on our ship, the Ultramarine. So let's talk about the fleet first. But before I dive in, there's something very, very, very important that I need to focus on. And Val, this would be great for you to take note as well, as this is probably the most important thing when it comes to expeditions. In the Arctic and the Antarctic, there are a lot of rules and regulations. Now, any ship that is 501 passengers or more in Antarctica cannot physically stop or offload passengers. It is a cruise by, wave at the penguins from your 18th story balcony. A little hard to see them, but yeah, that is what that is. A Category 2 is a Category 2 vessel, which is 201 to 501 passengers. Sorry, to 500 passengers. And that basically means that you most likely will do one landing a day. So getting off the ship once per day is most likely what's going to happen with ships of that size. As again, there's a lot of rules, and one of which is you can only have 100 people on land at any one time down in Antarctica. So what do you do with the other 400? Well, they do sit on board, but those other bigger ships, they tend to have a lot more onboard amenities to keep people entertained, science centers and that type of thing, because you will be on board the ship a lot more. But with Quark, every single ship we have is 200 passengers or less, and that falls within a Category 1. And every single person on board the ship will get off at the very same time. So you'll have 100 people on land, and the other 138, 168, and 172, which is the size of our vessels, are all out doing other things. So you'll have people out on the Zodiacs, on the kayaks, and the helicopters, and all the other things that we offer. So just please take note of this when looking at a trip. And even up in the Arctic, places like Svalbard, there are certain landing sites where you can only have 39 people. So here's one of our vessels here, the World Explorer. I'm not going to talk too much about her, as we are phasing her out next year for her sister ship, the World Voyager. Very similar, though a little bit different, as it has 168 guests. She's a 1B ice-rated vessel, which means we can take her pretty far into the ice. The next category down from an icebreaker, and she is operational down in the Antarctic. All suite, all balcony vessel there. And then we have the Ocean Explorer, which is operational in both the Arctic and the Antarctic. 138 guests, and a 1A or a P6 ice-rated vessel. Again, the next category down from an icebreaker. Now, what's a little bit different with the Ocean Explorer is it has this very unique X-bow design. The bow of the ship, the front of the ship, is very different to what you probably would have noticed with other ships. Now, what this means is instead of going over a wave, the bow is designed to go through the wave. So it's a little bit more stable in rough swells. So if you are prone to seasick or you are worried about crossing the Drake, this is probably the ship for you. With that X-bow design comes a very cool, unique atrium and lounge at the very front, which gives you some incredible views as we're sailing through places like fjord systems or the pack ice and stuff like that up in the Arctic, or icebergs down in the Antarctic. So a really cool vessel. But just like children, I know we're not supposed to have a favorite, but mine certainly is the Ultramarine. Now, the Ultramarine is a ship designed and built by Quark. We literally took all of our 30-something years of experience and put it into a ship, as well as we put 2 helicopters on board, which is pretty awesome. Now, with the ready rooms, this is something that might not seem like a very important feature to you, but it is, I couldn't imagine being on an expedition ship without a ready room. This is where you leave all of your winter gear. We give you the jackets, as you can see here. You get your own personal locker, and it's a very high temperature, so your gear will dry. Now, the reason that is important, 1, you don't take up too much room in your cabin. 2, we are going out multiple times a day. As I said before, being a Category 1, you will be off the ship a lot more with Quark, so we want your gear to be dry. Nothing worse than putting on a wet jacket and having to go out and be cold all day. So again, another reason why the ready rooms are very important. Now, I don't dive too much into the cabins. If you want more information on these, you can always reach out to Val, and he can send you some information on the cabins, the sizes and everything. They are exactly what you'd expect from a 5-star luxury floating hotel. That is what we are, but that is not what I'm here to talk about today. Sure, we have saunas with floor-to-ceiling windows, but it's more so the off-ship experience. That is what Quark is all about. If you're the type of passenger that wants to jump on and have butlers and golden chandeliers and golden knives and forks, this is not the product for you. We are, again, a luxury product, but what we focus on is that off-ship, and that's what I'm going to be talking about today. Here's a little photo I took with my iPhone before we went out last March with my family for a bit of a helicopter excursion. And with the helicopters, we have 2 H145 Airbus, and what they are is they are the most sustainable quiet helicopter in the industry. We actually worked with Airbus to design the rotor wingtips to not break the sound barrier, so you don't get that thumping sound as you typically get from a helicopter. They are 8 seats, but we take 7, so every single person will get a window seat, which is obviously very important. And that really does allow us to do some incredible adventure options. As a matter of fact, you are going to have more off-ship experiences with Quark than any other operator in the industry. Things like simply being with a world-renowned photographer on board. Like, we have world-renowned photographers and videographers on all of our ships, and these guys will help you understand your camera, how to take photos in high visibility light conditions such as ice, and even at dark nighttime photos as well as using your camera. You'd be out hiking, you can camp. If you're that way inclined, you won't see me camping, but if you want to do that, we definitely have that option in Antarctica. Kayaking, stand-up paddleboarding, and paddling, as well as the Tundra to Table experience. Now, the Tundra to Table, that is where we bring Inuit chefs on board in Iceland, Greenland, and Canada, and they will present their history and culture through food. It's a small, inclusive affair of about 15 people. We also have downhill mountain biking, Zodiacs, which I'll talk more about in a minute. You'll be very familiar with the Zodiac when you're finished with the Quark Expedition. Helicopters on the bottom left there, as I mentioned, and the bottom right there, you can see helicopter landings and heli hikings and things like that. But let's talk about Zodiac. Now, this is just a simple, small little photo, not for marketing. That's me on the right there and my lovely wife, Erin. Now, just to give you an understanding that we don't pack these full of the capacity, which is 13 people. We want people to have room. And the most important thing with Quark is you'll never see like a sailor that works on board the ship exclusively drive a Zodiac. They will always be driven from an expedition leader, someone that's an ornithologist, a marine biologist, a historian even. All of the ologists on board, these are the people that are out with you every day on the Zodiacs. That might not seem like a big thing, but if you've done an expedition before, it's a huge, huge difference. Polar plunge, again, another fun off-ship activity if you're that way inclined. This will wake you up more than coffee. Going through my photos the other day, I actually noticed I have a photo at 66 degrees south, and then I also have a photo at 81 degrees north doing the exact same pose. So I like to tell people I'm bipolar, which probably means more things than once, but you can see there we offer some pretty incredible off-ship experiences, such as the Greenland camp experience. We're literally taking you up into the mountains by helicopter, landing with an Inuit local host that's taking you out fishing, catching dinner, picking root vegetables for your salad, that type of thing. Again, just trying to push the envelope when it comes to adventure options. We also have here the ice sheet experience, the second largest ice sheet in the world. Val, if you didn't know, is actually in Greenland. This is an incredible experience that we take people out with a glaciologist. We give you your crampons and your walking poles there, and you will land by helicopter out on the ice and go for a hike for anywhere between 2 to 3 hours, depending on the weather. Mountain biking, as I mentioned before, you don't have to be Lance Armstrong of the world to do this. You let gravity do its thing and just hang on, and you meet the Zodiacs at the bottom and then head back to the ship. We also have heli landings, pretty self-explanatory. We're landing the helicopter, but what this allows us to do is get you away from the coastline. Pretty much all of our competitors are only going to show you these destinations from the perspective of the ocean or on the coastline. We having the helicopters allows us to take people completely to an entirely different perspective and environment that we're in, such as up high in the mountains of Antarctica and the Arctic. We also can do things like heli hiking. So if there is a really great landing spot that we can actually take people further away from the landing site, we will then offer a heli hiking. This tends to be with a mountaineer guide. And depending on where we are, you might be tied together just for safety reasons. But let's talk about our expedition team here. This is what really does set us apart. Not only are our vessels the most diverse and newest fleet in the industry, but we also have the best expedition guide to guest ratio. 6 to 1 on most and 4 to 1 on some of our more exclusive expeditions such as Snow Hill. But these are the people that you are going to get to know very, very well. You will have breakfast, lunch, and dinner with them. You'll be in the Zodiacs with them, as I mentioned. You'll be in the kayaks if you're that way inclined as well. And up in the helicopters, they will also be doing lectures and talking about briefings on what you're going to be doing the next day and diving into the science of what they study. For example, the ornithologist, he's obviously going to be talking about birds and penguins and that type of thing. But you will get to know these guys very, very well. Now, science and discovery, this is something that we live by at Quark, and we are starting to build science centers and a little bit more innovative technology on board the Ultramarine and the World Voyager. This is in collaboration with Seabird Watch, Penguin Watch, and the Finlandia Lab, as well as Happy Whale. The whole idea of this is to basically bring our guests into the fold when it comes to citizen science and being part of actual real world research. So something like Happy Whale, where everyone on board the ship is obviously taking photos of whales and their tails where they're fluking and jumping up out of the water and everything. But if you manage to get a great photo of a whale's tail, just like your fingerprint, you can identify that whale by uploading it to the Happy Whale database. And if you are lucky enough to get a photo of a whale that isn't in the database, you get to name that whale for future reference. And I actually just got my first one, still coming up with the name. But again, just another really cool thing that we are offering when it comes to citizen science and bringing our guests into actual proper research programs that's happening while you're on board. Another thing that we're obviously offering, sorry, not obviously, but another thing that we're offering here is portable hydrophone units are now going to be on all of our Zodiacs. I can't count how many times I've been in a Zodiac and had whales underneath the boat, and even putting my GoPro in the water and filming them swimming underneath. But how cool would it be able to hear what they say? Well, turn your volume up and listen to this. Really hope you can hear that. That is a humpback talking to its baby, which is pretty cool. And we are going to start recording these to give to our guests so they can relive the moment that they had a whale or a pod of whales or whatever it might be going underneath the boat while they're in the water. Now, from a sustainability standpoint, again, we want to make sure that we are doing everything we possibly can to leave nothing behind and have more of a positive impact, not just from an environmental standpoint, but also from a cultural standpoint as well. So we count everything. We make sure that everything from Zodiac fuel to helicopter fuel is taken into account, from even the flights that us as people working for Quark, our expedition team flying around. We are trying to limit everything we possibly can to make sure that we are having the best impact we can on the environment. So if you want more information on that, we have an entire website, and then it is a rabbit hole that I certainly can go down as well. Now, talking about our destinations, I'm going to jump into the Arctic here. Up in the Arctic, we do the Canadian Arctic, we do Greenland, we do Iceland, and a place called Svalbard. Now, this is what it looks like early on in the season. It does look completely different in the middle of summer, but I just want to give you a bit of a perspective that sometimes it might be cold. But if you are wanting a little bit warmer, well, then obviously travel in the middle of summer or later in the season. But the whole idea with the Arctic is you will be out exploring lots of land activities and hiking and things like that. But all of our guides, as you see here, are armed. Now, this isn't a hunting safari. We are not that type of expedition. We do not believe in any of that whatsoever. The rifle is just there for safety, as there are polar bears around up in the Arctic. So we do not use rifles in the Antarctic, only up in the Arctic, and is its last resort. So if you are wondering why there is guns, that is why. It's for these guys. Now, this is a video taken on an expedition last summer showing a large male polar bear wanting to get closer to the boat and was a bit lazy that day and decided to just roll down the hill. And you're going to spend a lot of time in these Zodiacs. As I mentioned before, you can see here 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 guests only. We are not crowding these Zodiacs like other competitors are. We don't need to do that because of the numbers of the people we have on board and having so many Zodiacs and expedition guides with the best ratio to guide ratio. Now, Iceland. Now, this is a new one for us. Now, in Iceland, we've just opened up Tundra to Table exclusively for Iceland as well. We are bringing Icelandic locals on board. Again, giving their history and their culture through a very unique approach by food. And then one of the itineraries we're offering is Circumnavigation Iceland. It's a 12-day trip, Reykjavik to Reykjavik, and we'll cover everything you could find and see and do in Iceland, as well as up into the West Fjord system. Now, Svalbard. Now, if you're not sure about Svalbard, this is what they call the Galapagos of the Arctic. If you see here, it is north of mainland Norway or mainland Europe, and just to the right of Greenland. Just above Svalbard, where it actually says Svalbard in yellow, would be the North Pole. So it's pretty far up there, and is somewhere that you should definitely Google if you're not sure about it. Now, there are, excuse me, one moment. Just getting over the flu. Now, if you are not sure about Svalbard and you start jumping down that rabbit hole and learning all about it, you will notice there are a lot of competitors and a lot of companies offering it, but we still managed to do it differently. This was last July. I was up there and I decided to get out Cruise Mapper, the app that shows where all the ships are in the world. And the circle is the ultramarine that I was on. So you can see on the photo on the left, all of our competitors are up in the top left, while we're down completely in an area that no one even really goes to. And on the right, that little island there, Katoya, that is 55 kilometers from Siberia, Russia. We're the only boat that I knew of that summer that actually went there. And we saw 6 polar bears in the space of about 5 minutes. We also go very far north. Again, here's a photo of me and my lovely wife, Erin. We are at 81.5 degrees north, just proving to you again that there might be companies out there claiming that they go north, but here is a photo of me that far north, all the way up in the ice pack, and is where you see the bears. I'll show you that in a minute. One of the questions I always get is, when's the time to go? Now, I showed you the photo before, and here's a photo again, looking at what it does, showing what it looks like in mid to June. In the spring. But then if you leave it for a couple of months or a month or two, you can see mid-June to August is completely different. So depending on the experience that you want, they should determine on when you want to go to Svalbard. The wildlife is also notoriously different depending on the time of year. But one thing that everyone wants to see is this. This is about, I think there was 300,000 of these birds called guillemots landing on this massive cliff face here. I have a video to show you in a second, but what's really cool is the guillemot's egg is actually squared shaped, so it doesn't roll. These birds have landed here to lay their eggs. The birds hatch and then they jump off the cliff and land in the water, and then the parents go down and they float around with them until they can start to fly, and then they take off and they don't come back. We make sure that we are there for this phenomenon because we understand so many people out there love birds, and this is what you're going to see. Now, you may not be able to see, but I had to duck a few times when I was filming this with my GoPro as these birds are flying everywhere. Well, I got out my big camera this last trip and I took some incredible photos. I won't show you the aftermath of this, but that is an Arctic fox that's just started to change color. They go from like a white color in the winter to a browny, mangy looking color like a coyote in the summer. And this is him, I guess you could say, getting fast food. But the main draw for Svalbard is the polar bear. Now, how close do we get? Well, if you look here, this is the back of the ultramarine. There's me with a big camera down here with the hat on, and that up the very top of the photo there is the polar bear. This is the sort of videos we're getting. Just to give you, again, not a marketing photo. This isn't, probably allowed to be shared, but I don't care. I want people to see more of authentic understanding of what we're selling. But when you do get this close to a polar bear up north, you can make for some incredible photos. This is one that I'm going to get blown up and put on the office. I'm pretty happy with it. But if you're inclined to love birds, as I do, you're also going to see lots of puffins, lots of gulls, and these guys. A group of walruses, if you didn't know, Val, this might be a good one to learn, is called a huddle, and that was enough for me to be obsessed with these animals. And we got to meet this guy. I named him Steve. Every beach that has walruses on it has what they call a beach master. And that tends to be a big male that is in charge of the harem of females that are on the beach. And we came across this guy at about 11:30 at night. And the expedition team decided to get everyone out of bed and go for a bit of a wander around and have a look at Steve and his family, I guess you could say, which was quite a fun and interesting day out, I guess you could say. But the trips to look at here are very different, as I mentioned, in spring and in the middle of summer. Now you can see the ice here. So all of these little dots, that's showing where the ice patch is usually sitting around spring. This is a good trip. Now, it won't go much further north than Moffin because of all of the ice. But if you go in summer, that ice patch moves very, very far north. And what we did is we actually did the circumnavigation trip, which I'll show you here. And the ice had moved all the way up north, and the boat we decided to take up there, and that's when we got the photos of the polar bears. So again, it might not be on these maps, but we tend to have a bit of an idea of this is where we're going to go. But being an expedition, we are obviously in Mother Nature's hands, so it could be completely different to what you're looking at here. But what I can say, hand on heart, is you will have an incredible experience and see everything that you'd want to see on an expedition with Quark. This trip here I love as it does start in Longyearbyen, goes down through Greenland and finishing in Reykjavik. So if you are a country counter or wanting to tick off some incredible destinations, this one will do Helsinki, where the trip starts, Longyearbyen, which is part of Norway, in Svalbard, Greenland, and Reykjavik. So again, some pretty incredible itineraries. And as I've just mentioned, the circumnavigation, which is 15 days long. Now, moving on to Greenland, we have, the whole idea with Greenland is to see it differently. From the land, the sea, and the air. Now, I did mention the Greenland camp experience we had before. One of the biggest draws for that is because of the northern lights. Now, camping up in the mountains, high above the cloud layer, your chances of seeing the northern lights are very much improved. But more importantly, we will take you again by helicopter to some incredible places that you will witness some of the biggest fjords and glacier systems in the world. Like a lot of people think of Norway as the fjord capital of the world. It's actually Greenland. This is a photo here showing again of the fjords throughout Greenland, and my colleague Taylor there on the right from Colorado. He was up there last summer, and the question he always gets is how long did it take to hike up there? Now, it's about 3 minutes by helicopter. So again, just re-emphasizing the fact, guys, you don't have to be, 20s and running up mountains. You can be, I've been on trips with 94-year-old people that have done everything. Obviously, they didn't do the charging group. They did the Mirandering group because we have something for everyone. But having those helicopters really does allow us to take everyone, no matter how old or young you might be, to some incredible viewpoints in the world. Some of the trips we have in Greenland, again, these have just been released literally on Monday. So we have the West Greenland trip, Nuuk, finishing in Kangerlussuaq, but going all the way up to the Store Glacier in Greenland there. And then the same here, just a little bit different itinerary there for the West Greenland trip on the right. So we have many different variations of Greenland, depending on what you want to see. And when you see our itineraries, sometimes you might get a big yellow box. That basically is just saying, we're going to go somewhere within there. We just don't really know, excuse me, until we get there, as ice conditions, weather, whatever it might be, is determining where we go. But we are going to be operating within those boxes there. Greenland to Newfoundland, incredible itinerary that we have here. So starting in Reykjavik, flying over to Kangerlussuaq, up to Jesus, I knew I could say that before, now I can't. Ilulissat, which is in far north Greenland, over to Baffin Island, and then finishing down in St. John's. And then we also have northeast Greenland, again, Reykjavik to Reykjavik round trip, all the way up through Scoresby Sound, and then up to Kongoska Fjord as well. Now, talking about our own backyard here, Canada. Now, we don't do the entirety of the Northwest Passage like some of our competitors do. I've worked for companies in the past that have done, and it just didn't sell. It's quite a long itinerary, so we only focus on this part, and that does tend to be the area with a lot more history, a lot more communities for us to visit, as well as wildlife. So that is why we're focusing on that part of the Northwest Passage. Now, a good way to describe Canada, it's all about the landscapes. It looks like a different planet, but if you look at this, you wouldn't entirely think Canada straight away, especially not Arctic Canada, but this is the Torngat Mountains National Park in Atlantic Canada. This is the only place in the world you can actually witness polar bears and black bears in the one spot. And a matter of fact, they've actually started crossbreeding, which is interesting. So you're getting smaller polar bears or larger black bears that tend to be a bit of a mix. But for me, it's the culture. Like going up and visiting some of these remote communities in Arctic Canada is just something that is just has to be seen to believe. A lot of these community members will come out and want to have a chat to you. They'll open their door. They'll bring out coffee, cookies, whatever it might be. We will offer guided trips in and around these communities as well, as we also want you to just wander around and get a feel for what it does, what it would be like to live up here in the middle of winter. So, that is why people are booking our Canadian product, is to see and experience these cultures. One trip that I would love and I can't wait to do myself starts in Reykjavik up to Nuuk, which is the capital of Greenland, sailing across the Davis Strait, up Baffin Island, and finishing in Resolute for a flight back to Calgary. Fantastic trip for those that are joining tonight from Calgary or Alberta, as you don't have to go too far to get home. We also have Greenland to Newfoundland. This is another one that we're just offering that I mentioned a minute ago. So Reykjavik, and then sailing down, again, finishing St. John's. So I just wanted to re-emphasize this trip, as this one is selling quite quickly, and we believe it might sell out in the next couple of months. Now, moving on to Antarctica, the bottom of the world, we do the Antarctic Peninsula, Falklands, South Georgia, Patagonia, and a place called Snow Hill. Here's our route map, just to give a bit of an understanding of where we're going down in Antarctica. I don't expect you guys to wrap your head around this too much. I'll dive into the individual destinations now. But seeing Antarctica from the air is something I get paid to do this, and it's hard to put into words. I've been to Antarctica, as Val said, a few times now, and I've been with other companies, and I've been with us. And Antarctica's Antarctica. You're going to love it either way. But to see it and do it properly and have a helicopter included is something I can't stress enough, is just insane. It opens Antarctica so much more by having these helicopters. We've included some new itineraries that are literally called Antarctica by Helicopter, Icebergs, Mountains, Remote Lands, which is on the other side of the continent over in the Weddell Sea, and exploring the James Ross Island and the Jonaville Island. We also have Crossing the Circle and the Peninsula, which is focused again on more helicopter-centric activities. So this is starting in Buenos Aires, flying down Ushuaia, crossing the Drake Passage, sailing on down through the peninsula, crossing the Antarctic Circle, and then finishing back in Ushuaia for a private plane back to Buenos Aires. We also have just announced this one on Monday, which is quite interesting because it doesn't go to Snow Hill, which is literally just below the map that you're looking at now, but it is focusing on just the Weddell Sea. I don't know many other of our competitors are going over to this side of Antarctica. They do tend to go on the other side of the continent, but this is why we, again, at Quark, we are the polar experts. We're starting to venture and go to places that no one else is even thinking about, because we've been doing it for so long and we know the areas that well. So again, just another trip here. It's a rare exploration of the Weddell Sea, and it again is focusing by helicopter. This one isn't by helicopter. This one is on the Ocean Explorer, and it's taking you all around James Ross Island and Jonaville Island, and focusing really on what you're going to see in the Weddell Sea, which could potentially be emperor penguins. Now, the biggest question, should I sail or fly the Drake? Now, You can do your typical normal trip, which is, again, Buenos Aires starting, Ushuaia, cross the Drake, and then do Antarctica. But they also have an airplane. Now, what we do here is we take 70 people per airplane. We have 2 of them, so 140 total, and we skip the Drake entirely. So if you are worried about being seasick or crossing the Drake Passage, or you don't have the time because it pretty much is a 2-day each way voyage, you can get to Punta Arenas in Chile and fly down to King George Island and pick up the ship from there and then see Antarctica. This is an incredible way to do it, and as well as a much quicker way to see Antarctica. Or if you want the patch to say that you've, or the bragging rights to say you've done the Drake Passage, you can sail it once and fly back, or fly down, sail back. So we do have that option as well. We are one of the only companies that does this. I actually don't know of anyone else that's doing this right now. You can either skip it or not skip it. We are offering the option of doing both. We sail and skip. So again, giving you those rights to say that you've done the Drake at least once. Now, South Georgia, the biggest reason people want to go is for this. This is where you are going to see, between October and February, their second largest penguin in the world, the king penguin. These guys are incredible. They're very photogenic. I was at the Calgary Zoo a couple of weeks ago, and they actually have a few of them there. If you want to see what they look like up close without going to Antarctica, you can do that, but definitely not the same experience. As well as elephant seals. You're going to see lots of different types of sea lions and seals as well on South Georgia. But this is the main photo that people want. This is the main experience that people are getting. This is 200,000 king penguins in one shot. Feel free to count them. We also have the Falklands. The Falklands is albatross capital of the world, if you're, again, into birds. But here's some of our itineraries that we are offering that includes the Falklands and South Georgia. You can't do one or the other on its own. We do both just because there's obviously a lot of sailing that's included here. So the Epic Antarctica one, that is the trip that I would be telling everyone to look at first. Obviously, that's the biggest one. I'll talk more about that in a second. Then we have Falklands, South Georgia, and Antarctica. And then we also have the Penguin Safari trip here, which is skipping the Falklands and just going to South Georgia. And brand new as of Monday, which blew my socks off. I didn't think we'd ever do this again. We did it years ago. But the reason we are is because people want to continue to travel with Quark. And obviously, we are a little bit limited to just the polar regions. So we are trying to find new ways for our guests to come back and repeat business with us. And that is the 20-day Falklands and South Georgia trip, which, again, Buenos Aires, down to South America, and then cruising on over to Falklands, South Georgia, and finishing in Ushuaia for a charter flight back to Buenos Aires again. So if you are wanting to spend 3 days in Falklands and 6 days in South Georgia and actually see it properly, there is an itinerary for you. Now, this is the Epic Antarctic one that I was talking about a second ago. This is the one that you'd probably want to do if you were thinking about going to Antarctica. You're going to do it once. You want to see it properly. You want to go with Quark because you know you're going to spend more time off the boat. So this is the trip. It's 23 days, so obviously a little bit long. Buenos Aires, Ushuaia, Falklands, South Georgia, Peninsula, crossing the Antarctic Circle, finishing back in Ushuaia, jumping on an airplane to Buenos Aires. Tick, 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 all the boxes. This is Antarctica, how it should be seen. Now, moving on to Patagonia. Patagonia, if you're not sure, is the very south tip of South America. This is obviously an incredible destination that a lot of people go down to go hiking, but you can do it by expedition vessel, and this is how we do it. So again, starting in Buenos Aires, down to Ushuaia, through Cape Horn, up through all the different national parks, past Punta Arenas, where you actually finish, and then up through Torres del Paine National Park and sailing back again to Punta Arenas. So you will see a lot of, obviously Chile and Argentina, but more importantly, those really big high peaks that people want the photos of, we will fly you up by helicopter and actually land on them. So you will be spending a great deal of time in and out of the helicopters, hiking, walking, and seeing all the different species of animals, including some of the penguins that live there as well. But this one is I don't even know how to put it into words. This is the big trip. This is the one that we started doing back in 2005 since we discovered an emperor penguin colony on Snow Hill. And then the following year, we took the BBC film crew down and we filmed Frozen Planet, which is actually on Netflix. That was all done through Quark Expeditions on Snow Hill Island. Now, Snow Hill is over here. If you look on the cursor just here, you can see Snow Hill where it says Weddell Sea. It's on the other side of the continent. And how we do this is we take the ultramarine as close as we possibly can, and then we use our helicopters to fly everyone in. So we have this itinerary here, but we also have Snow Hill, including the peninsula, which is 18 days. So again, the ultramarine, sailing on down to the Weddell Sea, bumping around those different mountains, as well as touching base on the continent of Antarctica. So you can tick off many different types of penguin species on this particular voyage. Now we do a makeshift runway, so we build basically a little airport, as you can see here. This is on Snow Hill. We land our helicopters, and then you hike about 1.5 kilometers to 2 kilometers over to start seeing the emperor penguins. There does some days 8,000 of them. Some days there's a little bit less. It just depends on the seasonality and what's happening with the weather. But this is the largest penguin in the world. These little fluff balls, they're the babies, and they will start to molt by the end of the season when it starts to get quite hot. But this is what the photo of everyone wants. They want to get up close and personal with the largest penguin in the world. As you can see, they're quite big, about 4.5 feet tall. Now, almost done there, Val. I know I'm just slightly over, mate, but you can see I've also got some deals for you. So, early booking bonus. If you book early, you receive up to $2,000 off on selected departures. We also have 10% off on all departures in Arctic 27 and Antarctic 27-28, and an additional 5% if paid in full. Now, that is not the biggest discounts I've seen. We do have Black Friday also coming up, and those sales will be coming out momentarily. But the great thing is that if you wanted to take advantage of Arctic and Antarctic in 27-28, Black Friday will not be applicable to those departures. So that's why we have these early booking bonuses now. But if you are looking at wanting to go in 26, 27, you can definitely snag a deal Black Friday, which is coming up shortly. And Canadian dollars. We are a Canadian organization. Our head office is in Toronto. Most of the people on board are Canadian. And I actually don't know of any other expedition operator out there that is offering Canadian pricing. So why pay 40% more when you don't have to? Be very mindful if you are starting to see other organizations out there, you know, $12,000 Antarctica, that's US. Do the math. Will actually probably still be cheaper. So over to you, Val. Finishing, mate. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Jake. I have a question.
Yeah,
When is the best time to visit the Arctic, the Antarctic, Greenland, and Iceland?
Well, we only do them in their respected summer. So, for example, we only go to Antarctica in the Australian summer or the Southern Hemisphere summer, and then we only do the Arctic in our summer. So, with that in mind, it's not necessarily cold. Like a lot of people ask me or have said to me, especially at trade events in Edmonton recently, I don't want to go there because it's too cold. It's a misconception. Because we are there in summer, you're looking at anywhere between maybe -5 to +15, depending on when you're going. And there is a huge difference between going to Antarctica in November compared to, say, going in February or even March or April. It really depends on what you want to see. Now, we do have some great assets available to you, Val, that you can share with people that will give clients a great understanding of what they're going to see and when for both the Arctic and the Antarctic, and especially in Svalbard. Svalbard is, as I said, the place that people want to go to see lots of wildlife. And, you know, in spring compared to summer, the wildlife is vastly different. And, you know, obviously wanting to see polar bears and things like that. So we do have those assets available to you. But my personal opinion for Antarctica would be to go later on in the season. It's when you see the most whales. All the larger adult penguins have left, and it's just the babies on their own to fend for themselves. And it does make for some pretty interesting things to see. I've seen penguins getting ripped to shreds by leopard seals. I've seen penguins running around chasing each other, playing like cats. Like, it's just such an interesting time to be in Antarctica, is when there's no adults around, I guess you could say.
Okay. Now, if you have to recommend, like, which one should I go to, the Arctic or Antarctic? If I should only
that's
go
a hard
one.
question. That's a hard question, mate. Yeah, you know, I get that a lot. Antarctica, for me personally, is always going to be the number one. Just for me, I am a bit of an avid wildlife photographer, and what you see in Antarctica is wildlife, it's landscape, it's adventure, it's, you know, no one actually lives there. So the only people you're going to come across is when we go to research bases like Port Lockroy or the Ukrainian Research Center, which I've been to a few times. And, you know, like that for me is why I love Antarctica. But having been up in the Arctic recently and getting that photo that I shared of a polar bear, yeah, it's a hard decision to make, right? It really depends on why you want to go to either destination. For a lot of people, Antarctica is to tick off the seventh continent, to say they've done them all. So that is why a lot of people are wanting to go there. But if you haven't done either and you're not really caring about ticking continents, have a really good think about what you want to see. Is it a polar bear? Is it you know, communities up in northern Canada? Is it, you know, king penguins in South Georgia or emperor penguins? You really need to start asking yourself those questions, and then you can determine which destination you want to go to.
Okay. Well, yeah. Thank you so much, Jake. And
no worries, mate. Like I said, thanks for having me. If there are any questions or if anyone wants to reach out to Val after and he can't answer them, happy to set up a private call with me, him, and any clients that are interested to learn more. The polar regions is something that really has to be seen to believe. Like, I know a lot of people are probably looking at going, no, you know what, I want to go to Mexico, or I want to do the Caribbean. I get that. I'm not trying to sell you a beach destination. I'm talking about an experience of a lifetime that you'll be the most interesting person at the dinner table for years to come. So if that's what you're after and you want to see and learn everything there is about, these places, that's what Quark is all about.
Yes. So if you are interested in booking Quark Expedition, you can contact me. As you can see on the screen, you can take a picture of that QR code, and that will lead you to our website with all our information. And yeah, thanks, Jake. I'll see
you. No worries,
you
man.
next
I'll leave
time.
it with you, and I'll talk to you later. Bye for now.
Yes. Okay. After that incredible trip to the ends of the Earth, let's trade the ice for something a little warmer. Next, we'll journey through Europe's most beautiful rivers with AmaWaterways.
Allow us to share untold adventures, locally sourced food and wine, cobblestone streets filled with the lights, moments that become cherished memories. With AmaWaterways, the heart of the river.
Okay. While ocean cruises show you the coastline, AmaWaterways takes you to the soul of each destination. So with triple and connecting staterooms, diverse excursions, and flexible dining, AmaWaterways makes river cruising perfect for families of every generation. The menus are adaptable to all, even the picky eaters. So, and we have up to 8 optional tours a day for all different interests and activity levels. And if you don't want to do any activity, you can choose to stay on board, just relax on the sun deck or spa, etc. The AMA difference means 5-star comfort, innovative design, and sustainable practices on every ship. You have the luxury of always having a view with our twin balcony staterooms, and the luxury of being able to drop into a fitness class whenever you like with our complimentary wellness activities in Europe and on the Mekong River. The luxury of knowing you're cruising responsibly. And 20 of AmaWaterways ships have earned the Green Award for industry-leading safety, quality, and environmental performance. And you also have the luxury of being able to play your favorite sport on board with our most innovative cruise ship. And here are some of our suites and staterooms available in European river cruises. Twin balconies, connecting staterooms. We have the triple and quad accommodations, French balcony suites. We have window staterooms and the suites. We also have chef's table, where they offer a truly delightful included culinary experience. You can watch as the chef chops, sears, drizzles, and meticulously plate a multi-course menu with professional finesse. And with Sip and Sail, guests can enjoy complimentary cocktail celebration each night before dinner in their ship's lounge, getting to know their fellow passengers and reminiscing about the day's events. And you can enjoy local music, dance, and culture brought directly on board. Every evening feels authentically destination inspired. Our crew provides unparalleled personalized service. They remember your dining preferences. By day 2, they would remember your name. They go above and beyond to fulfill guest requests. Wellness hosts are another AMA industry innovation. AMA is the first river cruise company to offer a full-time onboard wellness cruise host. They lead small group fitness classes on board, complimentary and daily. We also have cruise managers who are highly trained travel and hospitality professionals. They are the travel leaders on board. They personally attend to guests' needs, introduce the guests to available excursions, answer any questions on board or on shore, and generally guide guests throughout their river cruise experience. They are often locals from the regions we sail through, providing unique travel insights as only a local can. If a guest wants to do something in town that's not included in the itinerary, they can ask the cruise manager, and they'll give detailed instructions on how guests can explore their own destinations. And during the pre-cruise and post-cruise land extension, you are still with the cruise managers. So you get to know the cruise managers even before the cruise starts, right? And you can stay connected. High-speed Wi-Fi is available, and it's complimentary. And you can stay connected using the My AmaCruise app. Using the app, you can look for short excursions, and it's usually available 60 days before the embarkation. And clients can register on the app or online. And there are a variety of included short excursions, like daily excursions that are included in the cost of the upfront fare. So each of the 6 daily excursions, sometimes up to 8, are listed on the itineraries available to you. And guided group excursions offer a variety of choices for different activity levels, including hiking, biking, city tours, and immersive cultural experiences. So you get the luxury of personalization. You choose your own adventure or not. You can also sit back and enjoy the ship's amenities and have some drinks. And this is Ama is where the river flows. So discover the Danube, Nile, Mekong, Chobe, and the Columbus Magdalena River, where every journey tells a story. AmaWaterways is proud to offer cruises along the world's iconic rivers. Europe's storied rivers, Africa's safaris and wildlife, Asia's Mekong River, Colombia's Magdalena River, and Egypt's Nile River. Now, with the Dutch and Belgian waterways, it is a beautiful way to explore one of Europe's most popular tourist regions. From the canals of Amsterdam to tulips, windmills, and Belgian chocolate, these are some of the most popular itineraries. So we have the Tulip Time, which is available during spring, and Best of Holland and Belgium. We also have the Grand Rhine and Dutch canals, starting from Amsterdam all the way to Basel, or reverse. And you can choose to add a 2-night land package in Amsterdam. Now we have the Rhine, Main, and the Moselle. We have lots of itineraries sailing through these rivers that runs through Switzerland, Germany, France, and the Netherlands. This is your classic fairy tale Europe. Castles, vineyards, historical medieval Renaissance cities. So this is the map, and as you can see, it's going to be a wonderful journey. And this is some of the available itineraries. We have sailing the Rhine and Main, sailing the Rhine and Moselle, sailing the Rhine, Main, and Moselle. And you can also have the option of adding land packages. So you can have overnight stays at 4 5-star hotels conveniently located near major sites. It includes daily breakfast at the hotel, guided city tours, and enriching excursions such as museum visits and tastings, convenient transfers and portage service between your hotel and ship, the services of a professionally trained cruise manager throughout your river cruise, and land stay with lots of personal recommendations for how to best spend your free time. Now, the upper and lower Danube River. Now, you can cruise up to 8 countries in 14 nights, grand capitals and charming villages. So usually this is split into upper and lower Danube, where the Rhine is more scenic sailing and castles. The Danube is a grand, majestic capitals of Imperial Europe. And that is a wonderful sight to see. So some itineraries, we have the sailing the upper Danube, and then sailing the lower Danube, and upper and lower Danube if you want to do the 14-night. And then you can also add optional land packages in Transylvania, Romania, Istanbul, Turkey, and Vienna, Austria. So for Transylvania, Romania, that would be additional 4 nights, additional 3 nights for Istanbul, and 2 nights in Vienna. For Transylvania, you will see lots of castles, countryside, beautiful architecture, Dracula-themed excursion. In Istanbul, you can have a land extension from Europe that crosses into Asia. Guests fly there, right? And in Vienna, Upper Danube land extension, However, this is not available for Upper Danube itineraries. Okay. And then we have holiday river cruises. If you're interested in celebrating Christmas over there, you can also do so. And then we have the rivers of France. So we sail 4 separate waterways in 4 distinct regions of France. And France is the only country where our guests can have access to the most UNESCO World Heritage sites during cruises. Okay, it's more than any other country region in Europe. So there is no French wine growing area that is not included in our itineraries. So if you want to go to any specific wine area of France, we have it. If you want to go to Bordeaux, Burgundy, Champagne, etc., just tell us, and then we will find one that matches your preference. All of our itinerary choices allow a level of personalization offered by no other river cruise line in France. And then we have a 14-night from Paris to Bordeaux aboard Amalira and Amadolce. So it starts in Paris, ends in Bordeaux, as you can see here. And there's an optional land package of 2 nights Paris pre-cruise and 2 nights post-cruise. And then we also have 14-night of Grand Seine and Rhône. And for Portugal and Spain, the Douro River. This one is quite different. You're trading castles for quintas or wine estates. The Douro is for nature lovers, wine lovers, countryside lovers. The entire valley is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and the oldest wine-producing region in the world. So this will be your itinerary. Guests can add Lisbon pre or post-cruise on either itinerary. It's only pre-cruise on enticing Douro and can be either pre or post on favors of Portugal and Spain, depending on sailing direction. And you can also add Madrid to the other end of the cruise, pre or post, depending on the direction. And this is the newest specialty cruise, okay? Adding to our lineup of amazing specialty cruises like Soulful Experiences, Latin Touch, Celebration of Wine, and more, we are so excited to introduce the newest specialty cruise, Celebration of Music and Smithsonian Journeys, and Celebration of Beer. So we have wine hosts, okay? Each of our Celebration of Wine cruises is hosted by a wine professional who leads our guests through tastings and interactive discussions. We have the North American wine host sailings and also the European wine immersion sailings. And for all the beer lovers, we have Celebration of Beer. What's included? We have 2 onboard tastings, lectures with guest speakers, up to 4 beer-focused excursions, and specially curated beer and culinary experiences. Isn't that amazing? Or for those who love beer. And next here, the Mekong River in Vietnam and Cambodia. We have the Charms of Mekong. Both itineraries are 7 nights, okay? They are the reverse of one another, so you can go either way. Charms starts in Ho Chi Minh City, also known as Saigon, and it sails upstream. And we recommend that if you're going there, that you spend an extra night as a pre-cruise. So you start in Ho Chi Minh and all the way to Siem Reap. Now, you have the optional land packages, 2 nights in Siem Reap in Cambodia, 2 nights in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam, 2 nights in Siem Reap, 2 nights in Hanoi, 1 night in Halong Bay, and 1 night in Hanoi. That's a lot of nights, if you wish. I mean, since you're already there, might as well enjoy your time, right? And for those who want to go to Egypt. So we have an unparalleled 11-night Nile River cruise and land experience that includes exquisite cuisine, authentic experiences, and the extraordinary service for which AmaWaterways is renowned. Beguiling temple of luxury and the mystifying valley of the kings and queens. You will get to see that, and you will come face to face with the last survivor of the 7 wonders of the ancient world, the Great Sphinx, and the 3 pyramids of Giza. You will be guided by a qualified English-speaking Egyptologist. This unforgettable itinerary includes exclusive experiences, such as private tour of the tomb of Queen Nefertari, and a private lunch at the Adrian Presidential Palace. You can allow yourself to be treated to a discovery of this ancient civilization as only AmaWaterways can provide, with an unparalleled 11-night river cruise and land experiences that includes exquisite cuisine, authentic experiences, and the extraordinary service for which AmaWaterways is renowned. And optional land packages include Amman and Petra, Jordan, 4 nights pre-cruise, and 3 nights pre-cruise or post-cruise in Dubai, United Arab Emirates. And for those who want to explore more of Africa, we have the safaris and wildlife cruises. So we have Discover Africa, Rivers and Rails of Africa, Wildlife and the Falls, Stars of South Africa, and Golden Trails of East Africa. Regardless of the itinerary, everyone does the 4-night cruise. Everyone does the Victoria Falls for 2 nights, and every itinerary can do the extension in Rwanda. So most itineraries start in Cape Town, and after Victoria Falls, that's where the itineraries split up. Okay, that's where it is different. So we have this. The Chubby River is a 15-mile stretch of calm water on the border of Botswana and Namibia. Unlike the cruises in Europe and Asia that can travel hundreds of miles, the Zambezi Queen may not travel far distances, but the wildlife along the shoreline is a sight to behold and consistently changing. This is the ship that you will be on, the Zambezi Queen. Okay, and then you can do the river safari. So guests can embark on smaller tender boats to view the wildlife up close, 8 to 10 people per boat. There's a cooler on board with wine and beer, of course. And then you go out on boats for 2 to 3 hours in the early morning, then again in the late afternoon. Animals are most active around sunrise and sunset. And every morning, guests can go fishing for the famous tigerfish in the river. And you also get to see the big 5, the rhino, the elephant, the lion, the leopard, and the water buffalo. So along the river, you will see all except the rhino, because the rhino can be seen on land in Kruger National Park. Okay? This part of the world has the densest population of the elephants anywhere in the world. Just look at that. You see the elephants right outside the window. And we offer unique dinner experience in Victoria Falls aboard a historic steam train. Then you get to stay at the Victoria Falls Hotel, which is the most historical hotel in the area, and the drinks and gratuities are included. Now, New Horizons, Colombia, and the Magdalena River. In 2025, AmaWaterways will be the first major river cruise line to venture through the land of 1,000 rhythms, along with the magnificent Magdalena River. Discover the heart and soul of Colombia on an all-new unforgettable journey between Cartagena and Barranquilla. Now, this is where you will be going. And this is the itinerary for a 7-night cruise from Cartagena to Barranquilla. And the magic of Colombia is from Barranquilla to Cartagena. This is a journey down the Magdalena River. And you will also get to do the Gethsemane tour. You will get to witness iconic landmarks such as the Cathedral de Cartagena or the stone walls built to protect the city from the plundering of pirates, although they did not stop Sir Francis Drake from holding the city for ransom in 1586. In the afternoon, you get to enjoy a tour through the breathtaking Gethsemane neighborhood. with the vibrant colors of the homes and street art, as well as the mouth-watering local delicacies that can be found throughout the area. This historic neighborhood will delight all of your senses. Later in the day, you can visit Calamar, located at the entrance of the Canal de Dique. This town was first settled in 1840. Witness historic sites such as the Iglesia de Inmaculada Concepcion as you tour this beautiful destination by Paulo. Bicycle taxi for two, like this one on the picture. And Palenque, founded by those who fled a life of slavery during colonial times, the spirit and appearance of this town has been preserved through time. In 1713, the Spanish crown issued a royal decree that officially freed the people of Palenque from slavery. You get to immerse yourself in the town's deeply rooted culture and traditions, which are so distinct that UNESCO declared Palenque to be a masterpiece of the oral and intangible heritage of humanity. And you also get to do a walking tour in Santa Barbara de Pinto, located on an island surrounded by an arm of Magdalena River. It was founded in 1540 and became an important Spanish trading post. Since then, it has become famous for its incredible filigree jewelry. It also boasts stunning colonial churches. After leaving Santa Barbara de Pinto, guests will arrive in this island town of Mompox and will be welcomed with open arms and lively music as local musicians treat you to a special performance. This is also the place to enjoy a dinner off-site. So many amazing local restaurants with eclectic cuisine. You will be immersed in the local culture, and watching the locals is great fun. Okay, and then we have the Magangi. Okay, Colombia is the second most biodiverse country in the world, after only Brazil, which is 10 times its size and one of only 17 megadiverse countries. It has the highest number of species by area in the world, including more species of bird than all of Europe and North America combined. Colombia has 1,954 species of bird. Colombia has 19.5% of world's 10,000 bird species. In here, you can immerse yourself in the presence of Colombian nature surrounding this city on a bird watching tour, giving you a unique opportunity to see birds only found in this specific part of the country. And in Sitio Nuevo, this is Stilt House Village. You get to visit the floating village of Nueva Venecia, a charming town filled with inviting locals. Nueva Venecia, or New Venice, can only be navigated by boat. While here, explore this village and learn more about the lives of its people during a guided tour. You get to enjoy the traditional crafts and art that is on display, learn about the techniques of the fishermen of Nueva Venecia, and taste the local delicacies as you embrace this village and its unique culture. And you also get to see exclusive carnival performance in Barranquilla. Now we have the optional land packages. First, in Cartagena, Colombia, you have the 2 nights pre-cruise, and Medellin plus Cartagena, which is 5 nights pre-cruise. Okay, so 3 nights in Medellin and then 2 nights in Cartagena. And then we have Panama City. This is an optional land package, so it's a post-cruise for 3 nights. And one of the most important parts of this presentation is the promotion that is available to everyone who is listening in today. So we have the anniversary sale of AmaWaterways. So you get to receive up to $4,800 cruise savings per stateroom on select 2025 and 2026 sailings. This is valid for new reservations made by December 31st. Okay. And we also have early booking rewards. Now, this is applicable to all 2027 sailings. You get to receive up to 3,000 Canadian dollars of cruise savings per stateroom on 7 to 11 night cruises, and 6,000 Canadian per stateroom for 14 nights, and 8,400 Canadian for 21 nights. And this is for reservations made by December 31st as well. Okay, now we have one last video here.
If you could drift back in time to ancient worlds, savor new cultures through enchanting experiences. If you could wind your way through natural wonders and create new memories with every passing mile. If you could glide along storied rivers aboard your own floating sanctuary. Would you? AmaWaterways, leading the way in river cruising.
That concludes my presentation on AmaWaterways. Thank you for joining us for our cruise information night. If you're feeling inspired to plan your next ocean, river, or expedition cruise, I'd be happy to help. You can reach me through the contact details on your screen or simply reply to one of my emails. I'd love to hear from you. Thank you once again and have a wonderful evening.